Welcome to SOULutions, where men come out of the shadows to testify, giving tips in manhood, honor the codes of integrity, and give out real solutions for soul survival. Today, we have on the show a man who has the gift of vision. He did not just see with his eyes, he sees the energy of your soul. He's a writer, an actor, a host, husband. His multiplicity has inspired many cities all around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the Emmy-winning producer and hometown Columbia, South Carolina hero, comedian Ron G.
What's up, bro? That was a great intro, man. I love when I do shows and people actually know your credits. It'd be weird when I do a show and they'd be like, hey, man, so tell us how we know you. Like, what? Like, it's freaking awkward. Who do that? But thanks, man. I appreciate you doing your research, and I appreciate the awesome intro as well.
Man, I take it seriously, and the people on the show, it's a blessing that you even came here today, and I appreciate it.
For sure, man.
Are you ready to drop these gems?
Let's do it, bro.
What person did you meet or see that gave you the drive towards the man you are today? Who or what defined you?
What person that gave... Honestly, man, it's my mom, man. I feel like my mom is just such a dynamic person. It's so funny. Like, I asked my mom when I got older, I was like, yo, what made you, like, you know, stay with dad and work that thing out? And she was like, well, I didn't want anybody else raising y'all, and I knew you deserved to have a father in your life, and I wanted to make sure you had what you needed. So I stayed with your dad and made sure I raised y'all right. And yeah, man, my mom was pretty awesome, man. From like when I was little, like just the exposure she gave me, because even though I'm from Columbia, South Carolina, man, like simple stuff, like she used to take us on road trips to Charleston, you know, to go see my family, just get out of the house and meet your family. And then just to expose, like when I was a kid, she just let me watch Def Jam. And I don't know why she let me watch Def Jam, but on Fridays we used to clean up and watch Def Jam. And I used to sit at the foot of her bed and watch Def Jam. And I remember like that was the beginning of me seeing all these great comedians, and like that was the moment of, I like this. This is fun. I think I could do that one day. And just her exposing me to that, man, literally changed my life. And you never know how, you know, exposing the kid to stuff, like even though having your kid watch you like do this, they might be like, Dad, I'm gonna grab that microphone. I think this is what I'm supposed to do. You never know, but exposure is everything.
Exposure is everything. She driven you towards your purpose with her wisdom of allowing you to see that you can have these maturities and things happen in the comfortability of the home. I would like to know something that she told you, like a gem or anything that she may have dropped that you live by today.
A few things. She said, as a black man, you only got a few things: your name and your credit. If either one of them messed up, it's gonna be hard to live this life. So she was like, she used to work at the bank too, and I was working in like finance and stuff like that. So she was like, you make sure you keep your credit right, and you make sure you keep your name good. So, you know, whenever, you know, your name being good is currency too. So I just remember her always telling me that, being on me about my finances. And so literally today, like I'm debt free, traveled all over the world, you know, even during COVID. I honestly haven't worked. I mean, I've done some cool stuff, but I'm living off 2018 money because I shot a TV show and I know how to like budget my money. So I do well, man. So my mom, she instilled that in me.
That is a big topic we're going to get to on the show, is financial literacy. If you can drop one tip about financial literacy right now to the young men or men watching, what would it be?
Don't be lazy. Like the same way you do research and hustle to get the money, you got to do research and figure out how can you save and invest it. I still consider myself a bit novice with actually investing, but I'm good at saving and like spending appropriately, you know what I'm saying? And that's something that I was never taught. Because actually when I did my TV show, man, I shot this TV show on Nickelodeon, 20 episodes, most money I've ever made in my entire life, paid off all my debt, but I was so scared to spend it. Like I saved every single check. And the problem is when you make a lot of money, you got to pay a lot in taxes. And I paid clearly somebody's salary in taxes, and I didn't know. But if I would have known better, I would have like bought a Tesla under my business and use that as a write-off or something. But I didn't know because I was so scared to, like, I knew I had to pay taxes, but I didn't know it had to be that much. But it was like, you know, when you get new money, you want to hold on to it, but you got to figure out how to invest that new money so you're not spending so much in taxes, and you can balance out your input versus your output. So it took a time, but now I know what to do if I got it. But yeah, man, and get these write-offs, everything.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ron G is writing a book about write-offs. Make sure y'all follow that.
Oh man, you got to get incorporated. If you're a business, I'm a comedian. I'm a business. I don't get any checks in my name. Every check goes to my company.
There's that gem. There it is. There's
Every
the
check.
gem.
I'd be offended when somebody writes something. Don't write that in my name. Put that in my business name.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it first. Get you an LLC. There's websites you can get you a full protected LLC for as low as $100 in any state you want to have it in.
That's what I'm saying. You got to do research. Just how much we chase and hustle a dream. A lot of times I feel like we as men, we don't do the things to help us sustain once we get to where our goal is. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I also have a podcast too, called the Two Piece Podcast. And it's on personal growth for men. And literally I started because I feel like women be having workshops and conferences and women's brunch and all kind of stuff. And men, all we got is women, wine, and weed. That's all we do. We medicate until we figure out what the problem is. But I was like, nah, there's got to be a better way. So my podcast is literally me and my business partner, who's like a dynamic speaker on relationships, a life coach. And we talk about the hard conversations that men go through but never bring up. We be doing bullet points like Sports Center, but we never really talk about the stuff that really troubles us, from, you know, transition from marriage, from being single all this time. And, you know, the more you feed the monster, the more the monster want to eat. And now you married and you got a woman who's taking care of your kids. She working 10 hours a day and you got the same appetite, and that don't work. So you got to work on yourself. You got to have compassion. You got to work on giving yourself grace and unpacking all that stuff, because I feel like literally marriage is to make you deal with all the stuff you ran from in your singleness, and you don't even know it till you get with somebody who, especially if they solid too, oh, you got to see yourself. You're going to get the receipt for everything you ran from in your singleness.
I absolutely agree with you. That's the real reason why I started this show. I've always saw women empowerment and saw the things they were doing to upgrade women in a basic level. And my wife challenged me. She said, be the change you want to see. So here we are today. And I have a question for you. Do you have a vision board?
I don't have a vision board. I have a vision notes that I've been writing over the course of my life. And literally, I think about 2 years ago, all my visions from then came true. And then I got married, and now my visions have changed because I'm including somebody else in my vision. But also I feel like when I got married, it fine-tuned my dream. Like, I've always had vision and I've always like had these big broad ideas, but when you get married or you with somebody who's a dreamer too, like, it fine-tunes what your dream is. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like how you mentioned, you know, having a 10K camera versus 4K. Like, I had a nice camera before, but now I got 4K because I'm clear about my vision. You know, I was a homeowner before I got married, and my wife moved in because she's so dope at like decor and stuff like that. Like, now my house is a home. Like, my house, you see this accent wall right here?
Yeah,
she made this. This didn't come with the house.
Listen,
she built this from scratch.
There's something about when women come in the home, you get soap in your soap dispensers in the bathroom, little stuff like that you're not paying attention to.
I got blue water in my toilet, bro. When I flush it, you can smell the ocean. I got this blue water. I don't know where it came from. Blue water in my toilet.
It's great. Along the way of you goal setting and writing things down and seeing them come true, what are some of the affirmations you tell yourself every day to achieve those goals?
The thing I definitely practice, me and my wife, we never talk bad to ourselves. Even when stuff is bad, we never talk bad. I don't care how terrible life is and COVID and everything shutting down, we ain't working. We millionaires. Every day we millionaires and we about to be rich. I've been saying I'm about to be rich for the last 3 years, and I can feel it. Like, you know, I always like, I can really feel it because I've literally done the work, and now it's just opportunity meeting preparation, you know, for me and her, and I look forward to that. So we live, you know, we live fairly modest, but we live how we want to live. When we want to travel, take a day off, go to another country, we could, especially if the earth was open, but that's how we live, man. We live modest enough where, you know, we can get a super, you know, larger house or a nicer car, but I'd rather live modest and move how I want to move than, you know, be flashy and then you got to live from check to check. And if a gig you canceled, then you struggling and don't know how you gonna make it. I don't want to live like that. So we always do affirmations. We always encourage each other. Literally from like, you know, we'll just say, I think you're dope. Like, me and my wife, we be complimenting each other so much. I'd be like, you playing? She'd be like, nah, you handsome. I'm like, I've been around the house all day with these sweats on. She's like, no, you handsome. Boy, give me your face and just kiss me. And I'm like, okay, that's what you're doing. You trying to get buttered up? Trying to get you a house tomorrow? Is that what you trying to get a backyard? Trying to butter me up?
Along the way, your journey of also note writing and note taking, the goals you said you reached, can you give us one goal that was apex that you reached and one goal that's apex that you're currently chasing?
One big goal was I wanted to be a series regular. I wanted to be a series regular on a TV show. And when I did my Nickelodeon show, I was on a show called Cousins for Life, which was like the top rated show on Nickelodeon. I played a dad on a TV show. We shot 20 episodes at the gate. I ain't never heard that before. So literally we got 2-3 seasons in one thing. And that was one of my goals. And the cool thing about that, when you're in Hollywood, that you don't know is when you're auditioning all the time, you're amongst many. When you're going to audition, to be a room full of people that look just like me, big head, light skin, big eyes, mid 30s. But then when you audition and you become a series regular, you get bumped up into the short list in Hollywood, where literally I'm going in auditions with people I grew up watching as a kid. I'm like, yo, you in the audition room with me? Like, what you auditioning for? You know what I'm saying? But you get bumped up to a different level, and I didn't know that. It's like something you don't know until you cross it. It's almost like going to a different tax bracket. Like, you don't even know, like, yo, like, these are the things you can put your money in so you don't get taxed so much. You don't know it until you get there. So for me, that was definitely one of them. Also being married. I wanted to be married. And I wanted to find my partner before I popped off, and I feel like my wife is actually literally a part of where I'm going. I feel like God was like, I want to blow you up, but you're going to need this. You're going to need this before I take you where you need to go. You need some accountability in your life and somebody in your space, because your friends going to not necessarily tell you the truth, because especially if they getting something from you, they ain't going to tell you the truth. But my lady, she don't care about that. She be on me and telling me about myself, which I feel like sometimes it doesn't always feel good, but it make you grow and make you a better person. So I'm grateful that I got what I needed before I took off. So that, and the other goal I'm working toward is building my social media, being a director. I'm actually directing my first short film the beginning of March. I'm going to start my own production company and literally working on all my blind spots. I feel like as an artist, a lot of times we focus on the things we're good at, but during this time of COVID and this free time, this is the time you got to work on all the stuff you say you didn't have time for. Now's the time to work on it. Like, now is the time to work on everything you say you didn't have time for. And I'm trying to make sure I do that. So when the earth opened back up, I'm already hitting the ground running. I made the momentum because I did it at home. I did it already.
Absolutely. That's great. Yeah. When the earth opens back up, there's going to be plenty of opportunities out there. And those who were training behind the scenes will already look ready. And so others will come out gasping like, oh, wait, I wasn't ready. So,
yep. Life is different, man. I feel like too, whatever got you to this point won't take you where you're going. Like, we're in a whole new world now. Like, whatever was in your head about dating, how business works, how life should be, should is done. Like, should is out the window. You know what I'm saying? Having one stream of income, that ain't enough. If you're an entertainer or you in the arts and you ain't on social media, you blocking your blessing. If you I ain't doing no social media dating, or like I ain't getting on no dating apps, you about to be obsolete like a TV with knobs on it. You got to update your software and catch up with what's happening. If not, you're gonna get left behind.
Unless you sit there. Yeah, let's sit there. What? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you good. I was just like, you're just gonna be obsolete. You got to catch up with what's happening and be present. You literally got to update your software, even emotionally. Like, all the things that you were sitting on before and complaining about dating, you got time to spend with yourself now. So now you got to unpack all that stuff. So when it does open back up and you meet somebody, you can meet them with a fresh heart. Because I hear people saying they want to meet they spouse, they person, wife, their husband, but you still on that all men ain't good, all women. Like, don't know about the person who you wouldn't want you with that kind of energy. You got to unpack that stuff.
You are exactly right. So my question to you is, how did you know you were ready? You got yourself together. I'm sure that you had many opportunities for people putting in applications, but how did you know you were ready? Especially with most people say that work comes before a woman, right? So, like a man's work. So how did you know you were ready to provide and share what you have built and also accept what she has to offer?
A few things. I feel like every man gets to a place in your life where you know your time is up. When you know, like, the way I've been functioning is not sustainable. You know what I'm saying? And I've always had chicks around. A lot of my good friends were like females, but I was like, if I get married, these friends ain't gonna be around. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know how vulnerable I can get on the show, but I'll say it. But I feel like every man get to a place in your life where you realize hoes don't make suit. And that's my little phrase. I'm probably gonna put it on a t-shirt. Hoes don't make suit. Cause you can collect all these bodies, but when you get sick, who's gonna be there for you? You collect all these bodies and brag about all these chicks, but when you really need something, who can you call on? And you get to a place in your life, you collecting assets, and you like, I'm not planning on giving these assets to my mama. It'd be nice to give to my mom, but you gotta have some kids, you gotta have some offspring, somebody to give this knowledge that you've collected with, you know what I'm saying? But you want to do it with somebody you actually love, you know what I'm saying? No shade on anybody who wants to be a single parent or who's been a single parent, but you want to pass that down to loved one. And for me, I feel like it's the best for me to co-partner with somebody I love and actually make a kid with somebody I like. That's what I see my parents do. Like I love my wife, but I also like her too. And I wanted to bring my kid up in that environment, because the cool thing is when I have a kid, my baby ain't even know what a 9 to 5 is, because I hustle all day. If my kid, I'm on this table right here. I'm shooting videos every day. I'm shooting content. I'm doing interviews. I'm doing auditions literally from this table. So my baby get to see that, to the point where they're like, my dad don't go to work like that. Like my dad, he makes a living doing this, and they can see like, yo, like this is what dad does. Like it's the hustle gonna be in you. You're gonna be holding this camera. You're gonna be doing lighting. You're gonna be helping me with these auditions. You're gonna be cutting videos. Like this is what you're doing. Yeah, and it's not to say so. I'll be doing little haircut videos to cut my hair. Like, yo, you gonna be in the bathroom, sitting on the toilet while I'm cutting my hair and watching me. You're gonna have a hustle. You gonna learn this hustle. That's what you do. So I feel like that, and I say you get to a point in your life where you like, I know I bring light. Most of my life, I knew I was special, but sometimes you don't know you're special until you're like not around people that live like you. Mm-hmm. Like in a comfortable place, all your friends and everything. Like when I moved to LA, it was literally me. I didn't have no family. I moved out here with nobody, and you don't find out how special you are until you're a place where the unfamiliar is your normal. And for me, I had to literally find myself. Like what I thought church was and what I thought God was in South Carolina is different from what it is in LA. Back home, people get mad at you for wearing cut up jeans to church, and they like, you don't love God, you got cut up jeans in church. And I'm like, you got a hat on in church, you don't love God. And I'm like, but you smoke and you curse people out and talk about people all the time. That doesn't make you Christian. Like that's not Jesus. Like you got small town Jesus trying to tell me how to live my life, and I literally have a relationship. But I learned that when I moved away. So grandma Jesus and my mama Jesus is completely different with mine. My Jesus is like real big faith, where I don't know my next check coming. I'm a whole homeowner and I got a wife, and I don't know my next check coming, but I know he gonna take care of me. There's never been a time in the last 15 years of my life where my mortgage wasn't paid. You know what I'm saying? So that's what you learn along the way, and you don't learn that until you move out of your comfortable environment. But sometimes being comfortable is kryptonite to a dream. Being comfortable is kryptonite to a blessing.
Well, two things you said that's very interesting. Guest to the show, Marcus Devine, said recently that he was working, he's a singer-songwriter, but before he became a singer-songwriter, he was working at a metal factory, and he called his boss over and said, I have to leave, I'm done, in the middle of his shift. And he walked out and told, well, God, you're gonna have to take care of me, because I'm not going back to this job. And ever since then, he's enjoyed a successful career. So I relate to what you're saying in that regard. And I also can relate to leaving where you're from to grow to where you're going. Talk to me about that.
It's easy to be in church and hear those messages about faith when your life is work, church, and home. If your life is work, church, and home and having faith, not a problem. Just doing faith, nothing. But when you leave your family and you done had a send-off party and everybody know you leaving to do this thing, and you've been out here for years and you ain't got no receipt for your moving out of town, and you still got hustling, and you be scared to go back home because you know you got your family want receipts. Like, oh, okay, Hollywood, what you got going on? You like, man, I ain't doing nothing but driving Uber. Like, you got to hold on to something. Like, whatever's in you, you got to hold on to that thing until your dream makes sense. And it takes time, man. It literally is a marathon, and I'm watching God cultivate the things he put in my heart. Man, so, literally about 20 years ago.
So how early did you start goal setting?
I feel like you can have goals, but I feel like until you find your purpose, that's another level of goal setting. You know what I'm saying? It's a goal setting when you've done the normal, like where I used to be an accountant. I went to school, University of South Carolina, and I used to be an accountant. And for me, just putting a suit on and going to work was a part of my goal, because I'm like, my parents blue collar, like they ain't never wearing I was the only person in my family wearing a suit to work. That was a big deal.
Well, let's talk about it inside your purpose. When did you start realizing that you needed to goal set for the purpose that you're in now? Because sometimes we run into stuff blindly, flashlight through the dark, no one to consult, especially being from small places. We know that we have this fire, but there's not necessarily, we know where to apply the pressure. So
this is what I was getting to. I said, I used to be an accountant. And for me, living in Atlanta with a suit on, going to work, you tell my parents, my parents can brag about my son graduated college and he wearing a suit, was the best feeling in the world. And then I got fired for the first time. And literally I've been fired from every job I ever had. I'm to my temp jobs, my name tag ain't dry, and I'm still getting fired. And God was like disrupting my peace. And I feel like a part of that was he wanted me to get unfamiliar with the check. When you're an entrepreneur, you don't get no check every Friday. You know what I'm saying? But if you're addicted to the check and you step out on faith, that check ain't coming every Friday. What you gonna do? Like, you gonna panic? You gonna feel like God ain't there for you? But I was broke so long. God was like, I got you. I want you to get comfortable not getting this check every Friday, but I'm gonna take care of you. You know? And it's funny, when I moved to LA, I had a job. They held it for 3 months, moved out to LA. The first month on the job, I got fired again. And I'm moving to a place where my mortgage in Atlanta was like half the amount I was paying for half the rent in LA. So I'm sleeping on the floor. I got fired for the first time. And I'm like, God, and I'm like, I was staying with my roommate. I was sleeping on the floor and rent is double, more than my mortgage. And I was like, yo, this is a lot. And I was like, God, you got to show up for me, man. And this is what I call the quarter life crisis, where you go to school for something, but your heart tell you something different, but you don't know what it is. And you got to take risks. You got to take steps. You got to try things that are uncomfortable in order to figure out what your thing is. And I got on stage in Atlanta, this comedy club. My cousin was a comic, and he was like, bro, you hilarious. You should try getting on stage. I thought it'd be a bright idea to get on stage at Apollo night with a bunch of dope dealers and strippers in Atlanta. Get on stage. As soon as I started talking, they booed me. And boo was okay. But then they told me to kill myself while I'm still on stage. And I'm like, do I run or do I take it? Like, what's happening? Then they start throwing boo grenades while I'm on stage. And then they played this Jeffrey Osborne song in the background. It was like, I did my best, but my best wasn't good. Like, bro, it was bad. It was hostile. They was booing me, telling me to kill myself. They played the song, everybody laughing at me. I go sit down next to my cousin. He was like, I don't know what to tell you. The host come up, he was like, man, Ron G, you terrible. He's like, you trash. It was like, they started booing me again. He was like, wait, let me get this right. Y'all booing his name? Ron, boo, G, boo, Ron G, boo. And I am still in the room. And I was like, man, this sucks, but I like it. And it just started a fire. I was like, yo, I'm gonna figure this thing out. So I literally started performing every single day, trying to find my voice. And within 8 months, I got my first standing ovation. And when I lived in Atlanta, this is pre-Tyler Perry. So for me, it was a hustle. Like, comedy was a hustle, but I couldn't really, it wasn't necessarily a career because I didn't know enough about it. You know what I'm saying? And even dating was tough because I feel like I had me money, but I didn't have we money, you know? And I got to a place I feel like God was telling me, he was like, yo, you gonna move there? I had one day where I had a full meltdown at the house, and God was like, what you gonna do about it? He said, you're gonna be a great comedian one day, and what are you gonna do about it? And I was like, I'm gonna move to LA.
Right there at that moment. That was my exact next question. I wanted to dive deep with you, and I wanted to know, what was your lowest moment? Feeling like you didn't know yourself, but not just talk about it, but how did you get up? How? For the people watching, they want to know how.
I remember being unemployed. I got fired again from another temp job. I'm sitting in my house and I was just weeping like, God, I'm good at a lot of stuff, but I ain't great at nothing. I have this degree that does me no good. I've been funny all my life. People been telling me I should be on Comic View. I don't know what that means because it wasn't even being from a small town. Like, being on TV was like such a far thing away. I was like, God, I need your help, man. Like, what help me? And he was like, you're gonna be great one day. Like, the world will know your name. Your name stands for relying on God. I don't know why I remember, like, Ron G, relying on God. I don't know why that just got embedded in my head. And he said, what are you gonna do about it? And I said, God, if you give me 3 things, I'll move to LA. I told him, I said, I'll move to LA. This is one of those moments where I clearly remember talking to God. And I never really say I talked to God, but God spoke to me and he was like, okay, tell me what you need to move to LA. And I said, I need my pastor's blessings. I need to sell my home and I need to find a job. And I was in a real bad relationship too, where I thought, like, where I'm from, you know, it's noble just to, like, I'm gonna just not dream and go to a job I hate and take care of my then fiance, soon to be wife. That's what I'm gonna do. And I went through this bad depression because I was like, I don't want to put my dream down. I really enjoy it, but I don't make enough to take care of another person. And I told my boy, I said, man, I think I'm gonna quit comedy. He was another comedian too. He was a very popular comedian named Byron Bowers, man. He was on The Shy, super dope friend of mine. We started at the same time. He was like, bro, don't put your dream down because you're gonna be bitter toward her and you're gonna be resentful. He's like, yo, like, stick with it. So I remember telling God, I said, look, I'm gonna try this comedy. It was a comedy competition with, remember the WB network? Remember the WB with the frog? So yes, they had a comedy competition called the Late Night Laugh Off with WB. And I said to God, I said, look, if I do this competition and I win, I'll keep doing comedy. And I said, remember, I got this job. I kept getting fired from. I am in this place in my life where I'm just like in a funk and I don't know what to do with my life. I auditioned for this comedy competition, and I wound up winning. And the prize was a trip to Vegas, which is unheard of for a young comedian, where you get a chance to perform in Vegas. And I ain't never been on a plane before, so this is like my first flight ever. And I remember winning, and I told my then fiance, who I called a dream snatcher because she didn't get my dreams, I said, I'm gonna go to Vegas to celebrate. And she was like, can I go with you? And I was like, no, you was gonna let me quit my dream to take care of you. Like, you didn't even encourage me, you know? So me and my boy went to Vegas, had a good time, came back. I was like, God, I'm about to move, man. So that same conversation I had with God, I remember my dad hit me the next day and he said, put some money in your account. I was like, okay. I used that money and bought a flight to LA to perform at the world famous Laff Factory at Chocolate Sundays, which is what I host right now in LA. My first time ever there. One of my buddies from Atlanta was cool with the host from the comedy show in LA. I went there, performed. It was one of the most magical moments ever to be performing in bars and like bistros, and now you performing at the world famous Laff Factory that's been all over TV. You like, yo, it's crazy. That met Michael Collier, met Mike Epps, like just a great moment. I went back home and I was like, I'm moving. I had a real jacked up loan. That was like pre-housing crisis. And I had a real jacked up loan. I said, God, you need to help me sell this house. Sold my house. And then I said, God, I need a job, man. And I got a job over the phone and they held it for 3 months, which I've never heard of that before. And the last conversation I did have was with my fiance at the time. I said, look, I love you, but I feel like you don't believe my dream. And I don't think I can move to a new city with a new wife and a new relationship, with a brand new relationship, with a brand new marriage, with somebody who don't believe in my dreams. And she was like, what that mean? I was like, I don't think we gonna make it. And I broke up with her and I moved to LA. Get to LA, I ain't know nothing. I went to go visit one time and I met one of my frat brothers that went to Clemson. He was like, what you doing here? And I was like, I just got a job in Culver City. He was like, that's crazy. I just bought a house in Culver City. He said, where you staying at? I was like, I don't know. He was like, you can stay with me. I won't even charge you half. I'm like, I ain't know nobody. I went to go visit and met my frat brother, went to Clemson, stayed with him. And literally his place was walking distance from my job. Walking distance, and I know nobody. And then I got fired from that job. A month later, I got another job in Long Beach doing accounting. A really cool job, most money I've ever made. And I feel like that's part of the trap too. When you're trying to pursue your dreams, you're gonna get the sweet deal. It's gonna be like the most money you ever made, or you know, right before you meet the person you're supposed to be with, you're gonna meet another person who's just a good option, but they ain't really that person, but it's still another option. You torn and you stuck. I had that moment because I was in, I was at my job in Long Beach, and I had a homegirl. She's like, hey, I got a friend who's an agent. She took some time off to raise her son. She's looking for new clients. I was like, cool. She was like, you want me to submit you? I'm like, absolutely. I ain't know nothing about no acting. She hit me up and she was like, hey, I got an audition for you to do checkers and rallies as a spokesperson. Never had an acting class. I ain't know nothing about no auditioning. I remember going in the audition and they had all the script on the board. There's me and another guy. It was a 2-person spokesperson gig. And the guy he was a polished actor. He was like, try our cheeseburgers. They're delicious. You're going to love them. Tomatoes, lettuce, sesame seed bun. They're delicious. Try them. I was like, shoot. Biggest fear is reading in public. The camera's on. The lights start getting hot. The room start getting small. It was the words on the board. And I was like, hey, try our cheeseburgers. They delicious. You gonna love them. They got lettuce. What's the word? Tomatoes. It's a sesame seed bun. They are amazing. Man, I get a call that day. The lady was like, they love you. They want you to be the spokesperson for this restaurant. Can you go to Miami next week and shoot these 5 videos, these 5 commercials? And I just started my job, bro. I'm in a new city where the rent is ridiculous. Like rent is higher than giraffe nipples, right? The lady, she was like, you gonna take the job? And I was like, I need a day, man. Also, my mom coming in town. She ain't never been on a plane before. I gotta make sure she's good when she get here. She was like, look, I'm gonna give you time to think on it, but you don't want to turn this down. Cool. Called my mom and said, hey, mom, look, I know you coming to LA next week, but I kind of sort of booked this audition, and I was wondering if I found somebody to watch after you while you're here, can you be cool? She was like, isn't that why you moved out here? And I was like, sure. Now I gotta have a conversation with my boss, right? Brand new job. I only been there for like a month and some change. And I had to go talk to Miss Mary. I said, hey, Miss Mary, yeah, so I kind of sort of booked this audition. I was wondering if I can go to Miami and shoot these 5 commercials. And she was like, let me tell you something, Ron. You ain't been here long enough to even acquire vacation time. So I'm gonna just say this: if you're not here Monday, you're fired. New city, new job, finally making the money I always wanted. I have no plan B. I have no family out here.
Wait a minute. That's what we call the final level.
Right.
Right before you get the glow, Leroy, you had to get the last temptation.
boss level. This is the boss level right here. Mm-hmm. She said, if you're not here Monday, you're fired. Mm-hmm. Something in my stomach was sick. Like, man, I don't know how I'm gonna do this thing. But also, there was also a piece that came along with like, God, I got you. God was like, I got you. You know what I'm saying? Bro, I shot them 5 commercials. Probably the most money I've ever made in my entire life at that time. And I did that. I did Bill Bellamy's Who's Got Jokes, finalist on Last Comic Standing. And I've literally not worked a 9 to 5 since May of 2006, since that moment.
You know, it's so many things you said that had so much sacrifice in it. And a lot of people don't understand that sacrifice is one of the biggest things you have to be bold enough to face. You had to get rid of someone who didn't give you the right energy. You had to tell your own mother, I'll see you later. You had to give away all your clothes and likeliness and every character trait you've ever built up for people that knew you already. And now you have a new opportunity to start fresh. Sacrifice, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening, is one of the key components to being successful in your life. And Mr. Ron G, we thank you for sharing that with us.
Man, yeah, you hit that on the head. I guess I never put it in that way, but yeah, the level of sacrifice. And it's what was it, the story in the Bible where he told who was this one that sacrificed his son? And he said, go to a land I will show you. He literally,
I don't remember. I don't want to say the wrong name. I know the story, but I don't want to say the wrong name. What's the name?
But he told him to go to a land I would show you. And literally he gave him an assignment. The assignment was go. And he said, to a land I will show you. He didn't say, I'll show you, then you go. He was like, go and don't look back. It's Sarah and Abraham. Abraham, there you go. The father of faith or whatever. And his wife looked back and turned into a pillar of salt. But he went and he's literally the father of faith. And that's what I learned, man. Like that literally that scripture like kept me when I was in my head. I was like, just go to a land I'll show you. And the crazy part is when you're pursuing your dream, you and your passion, and you on your grind and your path, if God told you everything you had to go through to become who you would be, you probably run. I know I would have ran. I would have just been a hilarious school teacher somewhere on my second marriage with a bunch of kids.
Talk to me about the moment that you realize, man, the fires, the money, without food, the sleepless nights, this was all for this. Like the moment, like for me, I'll give you an example. I was a rapper for 15 years and I always was about to make it to television, always about to get my Grammy invite, but I was a conscious rapper. So people don't like this stuff that educates them. They want the other stuff. So I gave up my career and moved out the country and everything that I had was gone. And then I started to sit down and I always realized that I always talked about manhood and being better in the men around me. So I came up with this show and I realized, oh my God, everything I've ever done has been about manhood. So when I reach out to people, God already told me no matter who they are, they're going to say yes and not know why. I cannot tell you the type of people like yourself that I just sent a message to, hey, this is what I'm doing, and you came. And that's what I mean. Talk to me about that moment for you when you said everything that you put on me, and it was like, wow, for this?
The cold part about this whole conversation is literally you and I having this conversation because both of us said yes to our dream.
That's cool.
Like we met before, but we said yes to our dream and we're having this moment. If we never said yes to our dream, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. Absolutely we would have never met, we would have never crossed paths. But the thing you mentioned, man, is like God proves himself all the time, man. The cool thing about God is he'll always give you the commercial before you see the movie. He'll always give you something just to keep you off suicide watch. He'll give you a little, a little snack to remind you, little breadcrumbs like, yo, just so you don't kill yourself, I'm gonna give you this blessing. Just so you don't think I ain't there for you because I know you taking the test. You don't know you're taking the test, but I prepared you for this moment and you got to be battle tested before I take you where you got to go. So this is what I'm gonna give you to remind you I have not forgot about you. Bro, I can't tell you how many times like I've met women who were like dope women, but they wasn't my person. But God, like you need to see what this looked like to know that it exists. Or times where like I've shot in commercials in the Hollywood Hills and I'm looking at this $1 million mansion overlooking the city. Like, yo, put this in your head so you know what it looked like. I've traveled all over the world. I've been to London. I was on tour and I got treated like a king, bro. And I come back to LA, or I would go to, you know, places. I won't say the name of the club, but I performed places where you think, well, like, they would show me a lot of love, and I had to stay with people I knew and I'm headlining. You know what I'm saying? They didn't treat me right. But I've been all over the world and I've had glimpses of what dopeness feels like. And God was like, you need to experience that. You need to change your palate so you know what good food tastes like. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, prepare yourself for the good life. Even when I met my wife, man, I was so used to being broke. She used to laugh at me because we used to go to nice restaurants and I used to save food. I would save like 3 bites for later. And she was like, what you doing? I was like, I'm saving this for later. And she was like, it's 3 bites. Why don't you go ahead and eat it or throw it away? And I was like, well, I gotta eat it later. She was like, I'll buy you more if you need it. Like, stop playing. But I was so used to like not treating myself because I had to hold on to my money, that when you meet somebody like my wife, she's like, no, you got to live. Like, go treat yourself. And it's something I had to learn.
You sparked something in me right now. I realized, and I evaluated myself, and I realized I don't buy anything outside of my purpose. And that was kind of like a shocker to me. Like, I'm not a guy who's going to go buy something that doesn't have anything to do with what I'm doing right now. I will go buy a camera to have better quality, but I won't buy me those sneakers. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The sneakers, I don't need sneakers for this. Like, I don't need whatever I don't need in my purpose. I do not do. And you said that so profoundly.
Hey, Lou. No, you good, bro. Don't unmute. No, you good, bro.
Okay, give me a minute. I'll come get it. Okay. All right. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. His thing is
just checking in. He checking in on you.
Yes, absolutely. All right, let's get this thing going.
You good, bro? I promise.
I can't wait to tell his mom about this one. Oh man. Now let's take it a little. Let's lighten the load a little bit. Let's have this conversation. Right. I like to ask men this question because I love to hear their story, and I want to try to change the narrative. Did you ever get a sex talk? Who or what gave you sex education?
The streets taught me about sex. I didn't know nothing about nothing. I feel like when I was young, all the older men, especially like my dad friends, they'd be like, hey, little man, how many girlfriends you got? And I'd be like, I got 5 girlfriends. They're like, you got 5 girlfriends. High five, little man, you doing your thing. Then it started to get the real, and you go from the water gun to the real gun, and you can't shoot the real gun unless you like know what come along with it. And then I had my senior year in college, I had 2 kids and found out they wasn't mine. That was the sober moment where I'm like, oh, this gun really work. Okay, okay, God, what do you want from me? Because this is not right. You know what I'm saying? And I wound up being celibate for a while because I had so much trauma from like having kids and finding out they wasn't mine, that I went like far right, super saved, got a cape on, everything, Jesus, and I wasn't enjoying my life. And I'm like, this is stupid. Then I started back in the streets because I was trying to validate myself because I wasn't doing it so long. I meet a girl and she'd be like, what, you ain't doing that? And I'm like, she like, you gay? I'm like, nah, I ain't gay. I'm trying to manage my monster. I've been through a lot of trauma and I'm trying to figure my life out. And I feel like I should wait till I get married, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you must be gay. I'm like, I'm not gay. I'm trying to, because in the South, and you talk like that, it's okay because, you know, you might be some church folks, they get it. I had a whole community of people that live the same life. I go to LA, don't nobody care. I say it on stage. You would have swear I said I had coronavirus on stage. Like, it was the most disrespectful thing because every comic after that went up and talked about me, right? Knowing they got their own trauma. But then you get to a place in your life where you realize you have light. And I realized I had light and I always functioned like a husband. So when you meeting people that's broken, particularly broken women, and you function like a husband, you listening, you giving great life advice because you're emotionally intelligent, because you haven't been having sex, you actually know how to use your words. And they're like, oh, this is my husband. They would make me their husband, but they didn't give me a choice. Then I was like, you know what? You don't deserve my light. So me not having sex at the time became protecting my light more so than like I'm on this big religious thing. Because I was like, I'm sharing my life and my dopeness with somebody who's already depressed and got trauma themselves, and I'm feeling depressed and I don't know why. You know what I'm saying? So I had to learn how to literally manage my light and not invite everybody into my space, my bed, and like my life, because it became a headache. And then I went from trying to date to managing fears. And I'm like, why am I managing your fears? Like, how can you tell me I'm your husband? You don't even know me. I didn't even choose you. You didn't give me a say so in it. Now I gotta like make sure I don't hurt your feelings because you've given me some power I didn't ask to have. We've never been on a date. You ain't never been out my house when the sun was out, like together with me, and now I'm your husband. Like, we ain't done nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I had to learn to protect myself, man. And so that was the beginning of me unpacking, like, yo, I can't share my life with everybody. And that's something I had to learn later on.
That's what I was going to say to you earlier when you said you were in front of that audience at the Apollo. The fact that you got booed, in my opinion, is that most people saw your light and they were jealous of it. Like, you can, before you open your mouth, the light is there, right? It's just that some people are so estranged, like, man, why his light so bright? Or why her light so bright? Anyone in particular. But I will say this, and it will ask you this: when you have children, are you going to beat around the bush, or are you going to go directly to the conversation that needs to be had? Because we need to upgrade this, because so many people, men and women, run into situations where the government gets involved in their relationships because they just can't handle what sex has created, what sex has done to them, their bodies, mentally and physically. But if we increase the narrative, I think more people will have more trepidation before they make such a exchange of energy.
I agree. If you ever meet me and my wife, we have no filter. Like, we talk the way we talk, and I feel like our kids are gonna see us argue. They're gonna see us make up. They're gonna see us, say how we really feel, because we don't really sugarcoat. And I feel like I want to raise my kids to where they're just not stupid. Like, if I'm not here, I want you to be a great decision maker when I'm not around. I want you to be like, my mom or my dad would kill me if I did that, even when I ain't here. I want them to have that in their head. And that's what my mom did to me.
Since you brought up your wife, let's go to a couple questions I have about wives and marriage, and then we can go back to another question that I had.
Go ahead.
I want to poll you. I want to ask you the top 3 things you want in a woman, and I want to see if you have one of the criteria that I don't hear most men say, but after I say it, they say, "Oh yeah, that needs to be in there." Now, what are the top 3 things? Well, you have a wife, but what is the top 3 things you found in her or you wanted in a woman?
So I feel like the obvious is spiritual connection to God. I feel like that's the obvious.
Yeah.
But for me, I wanted somebody to make me feel safe. Like, literally, I can be myself around her, because I have this career where I can say whatever I want. I can say whatever I want on stage, but then I come home and I can't speak the way I speak. That's some bipolar stuff that I don't want to deal with. I've dated somebody like that before, where, I have freedom to say what I got to say on stage, and then I had to like tiptoe and walk on eggshells because certain words would trigger them. And I didn't find this word until I stepped on a landmine. I'm like, oh, I can't say that. Just give me a list of words I can't say from the beginning, and instead of me playing this game and taking this test I didn't ask to take. You know what I'm saying? That one. And then also, I wanted somebody who I could, I'll put that with being my friend. I wanted somebody who's like legit my friend. I've had girls who were like the fun girl, and I've had girls who were my friend, but never in the same, because fun girls are not functional, and the friend girl usually I wasn't attracted to. You know what I'm saying? In my life, that's my situation. But I wanted my lady to be my friend. And I wanted somebody who I can travel with too. Like, I wanted somebody who I can take in any environment and legit be cool, because I feel like the life I live, man, I make a lot of big boy decisions by myself. And I wanted somebody who, like, when I need to make a big boy decision, they would give me some really good advice. And I remember dating this girl, man. She was a cool chick. Like, anybody else would be like, yo, that's the one. And I'm like, nah, something missing. I would bring up something and she would give me the most generic advice, and it drove me nuts. She was like, well, just keep your head up and just go forward. Just don't look back, and you just gotta trust God and do you and be you. And I'm like, I don't know what that means.
I'm happy you said that. I am so happy you said that. First of all, let me say, none of your answers are ever going to be incorrect, because it's subjective to what you need as a person to be the best you are, right? So me just asking this question is my fun way of saying, why don't men say intelligence?
Why don't they?
Yeah.
That was included in the being able to take you anywhere.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They don't say intelligence, no, but I said I'm happy you said that, because a lot of men say intelligence. Actually, it's also in friendship, because that means you have mental conversations and things you could talk about in common.
Yeah, and then one thing I would have said was personal growth. Like, I wanted a woman who respected personal growth, because of what I've learned, I've seen in people really close to me, where if one person's doing life and like growing and like becoming this great person, if you marry somebody who's like, this is just who I am, and they stuck in who they are, your life becomes prison, because you're having these new experiences you can't share with the person you live with. And that's why I've seen, like, particularly in the age I am now, my friends who've gotten married doing it the right way in their early 20s, fresh out of college, they've outgrown their person. And they're going through divorce now because they married somebody they weren't compatible with, but at the time that was the right thing to do, versus like finding somebody you can grow with who values personal growth. And even though both of y'all jacked up, y'all can say like, I know I'm jacked up, but this is who I am and I'm learning to be better with your person. And both of y'all know y'all junk, versus like, nah, that ain't me, that's you tripping. Like, that ain't life.
A former guest to the show, Capriccio Scat, said,
that's a great name.
Huh?
That's a great name. Is that a jazz singer or something?
No, I believe
Capriccio.
Capriccio Scats. He is a manager of music, and like more of information. He knows how to do the marketing and business and the royalties and all of that. He said a man should not get married until he's 35, 30 or 35. Do you agree or disagree?
I'm not gonna say 35, but definitely not in your 20s. You need to live your 20s so you can find out what your thing is, make your mistakes, trick off your money, whatever you do. But 30s is when your money get better. When your money get better and you're clear about who you are as a man. Because sometimes you don't even know what you like until you try it. And sometimes you don't know what you like until you try it, until your money right. And when you broke, your palate ain't developed enough to even know what you like. But when you in your 30s, your money a little better, you've traveled a little bit, you've been to other countries, you're like, oh, okay, this is what normal is, you know? So I would definitely suggest a man, like, live your 20s and just sit, unless it's a special case and y'all know y'all gonna make it. Other than that, bro, live your life, your 20s. I've seen too many of my friends, again, like I mentioned, they didn't even have their 20s and now they trying to live their 20s, but they married. I'm like, bro, like, let's get divorced. Like, that ain't it.
That ain't it.
I don't even suggest to get a divorce, but yeah, but you can't be married and live single.
Absolutely. I got another question that's also subjective, but I would love to hear your answer why, whatever you choose.
Go ahead.
As a husband, would you rather have a great woman or a great wife?
Would I rather have a great woman or a great wife? Interesting question. I need more context, but I feel like the
context is within you.
Oh, I got it. I feel like there's a part of the ambiguity of the question makes the question special. So, I would prefer a great girl. You said great woman or wife, right?
Great woman or great wife? Yes.
Great woman, because even with my wife being married, I don't feel married, and that's not like in a negative way, but I legit feel like my wife is my friend. And we just doing life, but we live together. It don't feel like you're my wife, so you need to do this. And as a man, I should do this. And we don't do gender roles like that. Like whatever you good at, you good at. Whatever I'm good at, I do. You know what I'm saying? So I legit just feel like I married a good woman. And that's what I want. Good wife. The titles just sounds a little above my pay grade.
Absolutely. I appreciate you expressing that. Men give both sides, and I just love to hear the explanation for the women listening, for the guy listening. Maybe that would give them some more clarity of what they should be looking for.
What was your answer? Just curious.
Great woman.
Gotcha.
Because for me, I need a woman who's a mother, and I need a woman who understands when not to be a wife. When I need a different type of conversation, a different type of pooling. Somebody's supposed to be your final resource. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And titles will make everything a little complicated, man.
Yeah, wife is just a title because in reality, there are plenty of people who are wives who are not great.
Yep.
And husbands who are not great. Right? But if that person is great, the character of that person, just because they get a title doesn't change the consistency of who they are. Right,
I agree. That's why I was telling my wife, I said, you my buddy. And I say that genuinely because that's a higher title than wife. Because when I say you my buddy, like my lady is like my buddy. Like we kick it.
Yeah.
And we have fun. And we talk the way we talk to, which I ain't never had that before. Like we say what we got to say. And I feel like the sooner you and your person get closer to saying how you really speak with each other, the healthier your relationship is.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. I've been married 15 years. And
15? Y'all don't even look like you done 15. That's dope, bro.
We say what we're going to say and do what we want to do. And we grow together. And it's
You ain't going nowhere. You ain't going nowhere. Get mad. You ain't going nowhere. Let's go get some tacos. Let's go.
Oh, you can delay that to after this movie's over.
Oh, after the movie over? That's funny. Yeah.
We talk about leaving a legacy, but mostly ignore major steps. Do you have a will?
I have life insurance, I have life insurance. I don't have a will yet, but I definitely need one.
I was talking to a guest of the show, Mr. Cameron Wesley. He said his cultural counterparts usually look at death and wills as an investment versus looking at it as the death talk. Talk to me about why you think our culture looks at it as a death sentence versus an investment of like paying for life insurance, paying for insurance on your parents so you can take care of their financial duties and the funeral without doing like things like GoFundMe's.
It's just ignorance. Like it's ignorance and it's fear, and it's not a bad thing. It's just we're not taught. Like I said, even my financial literacy, my dad didn't teach me anything about money. Whenever it's time to have a conversation, he'd be scared. I guess he's getting older and he's getting closer to, time to go to the upper rooms. I feel like he's a little scared, but I completely understand it. But I had to learn on my own. We all gonna get there one day. But yeah, it is an investment. It's just one of those things you got to just take the sting off of it and just do it. It's kind of like faith. Faith is like, you can't really activate your faith if you don't give God an opportunity to show you that faith is a thing. Mm-hmm. So same thing with your finances. Like you can't be scared money don't make no money. You can't make no money if you're scared to spend it or scared to like realize like, yo, this is actually an investment. Like instead of buying $3,000 worth of shoes during the year, you can put it on some life insurance and cover your family. So if something happened to you, they ain't got to pay for nothing if something go down. Absolutely. And you can borrow against it.
Absolutely. We only have a few questions left. I'm not going to hold you too much longer. I thank you for being patient.
All good, bro.
All right. Excuse me.
All good, man.
Should there be a basic training program amongst men, level of education given outside of the school system, outside of the church, outside of the Boys and Girls Club, where in our communities, we teach our young children, like you said, financial literacy, the art of communication, change a tie, change a tire, gardening, generational wealth building like stocks and real estate, and having conversations with intent with the elderly. Like, do you think we can ever implement that in our communities outside of they'd be excited about buying a stock in GameStop and seeing what it does? Like, just making that something. I know parents can do it, but I'm talking about a community doing it.
It's definitely possible. The problem is I feel like people like you, yourself and myself is like, I'm very optimistic about and hopeful about community thinking, but sometimes the community don't want to be the community and you can't make somebody be a part of that. Like the way I feel about men and like how powerful and how dope I think Black families are, I think it's the most powerful thing on the planet, and I hold that in a very high regard, but everybody don't think like that. So trying to get people to come together, even with good intentions, is a bit tough, but I would love to see something like that. I would love to be a part of it. I would love to do a class on my area of expertise, which I feel like is like relationship health and personal growth for men. Like that would be my things. I feel like nobody teach you that. Like literally men have to go through trauma and ruin a bunch of lives before we like, yo, it's time for me to like do something different because this ain't working. And I hate that, there's so much collateral damage by the time we get to the point where we like, I want to start pursuing a wife or something like that. Like you done left this whole trail of tears and blood and carnage. And it's like, that didn't have to happen if you were taught the right way. You know what I'm saying? And we all make mistakes, especially in your 20s and you don't know what you're doing. Like I get it, but some stuff should not just be reckless and without any regard, So I would love to see something like that.
Absolutely. This is why I ask these kind of questions, because I just want to have the conversation. And if I keep asking men these conversations, we give a bunch of options to people who may be listening. How much are you trying to understand communication between you and your lady? Are you practicing like love languages and things like that? How much are you trying to really understand her to give her the reciprocity that you want?
I feel like marriage is an everyday class, a TED Talk about communication and growth, grace and love. Like every day is a different level of that. Sometimes you think you've mastered the course and then God will give you another level, the AAP course, the advanced placement course in your marriage to make you work on the stuff that you haven't worked on, Yeah. Daily we work on, like, I know her love language, she knows my love language, but you know, life comes along with that. You know, it comes along with family sickness, personal sickness, you know, money not being made, jobs, losing things. And can you still show up like you did when everything was good? When I met everything on your list, can you still show up even though our circumstances are different? And that's what I had to learn. Sometimes people feel like love is this beautiful thing, this warm and fuzzy feeling that's in your heart, and you meet the person, you give them all your love. Like, love is literally a choice. You choose to love somebody, especially when they ain't acting right and you got to show up anyway because you made a commitment. Like, love is learning how to be there when it was warm and fuzzy ain't there no more, you know, and playing dates even when you're in quarantine and you're in sweats all the time. And you know what I'm saying? Like, it don't feel sexy, but you still got to plan these dates. Like, that's what love is, and nobody teach you that. So for me, I feel like me and my wife, we're actually good teachers to each other. Like, my wife is a great teacher, and I feel like I'm a great teacher to her as well, because we're not the same person. And I wouldn't want to marry somebody like me because I'll probably get a headache. But yeah, man, like, it's a dope thing.
You talked about
when you choose the right person.
Right. You talked about the love language. Do you mind sharing what your love language is? Because I always ask the guys, because I was betting that all of us say touch, but I've been wrong a few times. Which one is your love language?
Mine's definitely touch and time. But off the chart, touch and time is definitely important, but it's not off the charts.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I had a conversation with another gentleman and said, you got to be careful because people's love languages change the longer you are in relationships with that person. And you have to be able to recognize that.
Okay. And also too, you give love how you receive it. And that's not always the case.
Right.
Like, cause my dad, like, he likes gifts. Like, gifts is his jam. You know what I'm saying? But for me, we born like a day apart, and I'm like, I like touch and time. And I know, like, even when I battle depression quite often as well, man. And like, my wife, she like, her natural tendency is to give me my space while I'm going through my little, I call it the cloud or whatever. But I'm like, yo, get in my space. Like, just put your hand on my leg and hold my arm and don't let me go. If I'm in my funk, because it helps me get out my head, and I get reminded, like, oh, I'm not in this thing by myself. Because my imagination is a beautiful thing. It's the amazing thing. It makes me a lot of money, but it's also dark if I'm left up to my own self to fill in the blank of why she ain't speaking to me, or we have a bad argument. I will take it personally, like, she don't love me. Like, you know what I'm saying? So even when we have disagreements, if she put her hand on my leg and be like, I'm sorry, I believe her. If she like, I'm sorry through words, or we long distance and over the phone and she say, I'm sorry, I'm like, yeah. But when she put her hand on my leg, life is good again.
I think that explains why that young lady didn't have nothing for you. And the other young lady, she said, I don't know, just believe in God. And that wasn't good enough because it just wasn't right. And I'm happy you found the light that matched yours and y'all glowing stronger together. Validation from your partner, huh?
So you couldn't pay me back in the streets.
Hey, listen, validation from your partner. It's like you win a championship when you meet the right woman. But Mr. Ron G, I have a question for you. You said you like to be uncomfortable. LeBron James says whenever he feels comfortable, he gets uncomfortable. So are you validating? Are you defending the title? And what I mean by that is, are you competing with the best versions of yourself to make sure she's still in love with that same guy or the advanced 2.0 guy?
Am I working on it?
Yeah, every day. Are you validating?
Absolutely.
Are you competing? Are you competing with it? Are you trying to outcompete her? Are you dressing better than her when you go out? I mean, are you working out like you say, hey, babe, my body looks good. I'm doing this thing. Are you defending the title?
The funny thing is, like, my wife, she fine, like, even with no makeup on. And I'm like, I can't be out here slipping with a fine wife. I can't be out here looking like the help when she over here looking like a movie star, even when she ain't trying, you know what I'm saying? So I gotta always make sure, and, you know, doing what I love for, like, because I'm a comedian and an actor too, I always gotta make sure I look right, but, you know, keep my fade fresh and everything. But same time, I gotta make sure she be working out all the time. I gotta do better about working out, but luckily I got pretty good genes where, I got crackhead stamina, so I don't really gain weight like that. But yeah, man, I always try to make sure I'm on point. And like, we talked about this because we do a Q&A show, and we would love to have you and your lady on it. We do a game show called Couples Couch every Thursday, 7 p.m. Dope game show. You asking questions that y'all should know about each other, just fun questions, and see how well y'all know each other. But we probably compete on, like, making sure we pleasing each other. Like, my wife called me handsome so much, I be thinking she be playing. Like, don't be trying to butter me up. What you want? You know what I'm saying? But she genuinely be like, yo, you're so handsome to me. And I wake up, she just be looking at me. I'm like, you okay? She be like, you're so handsome. I'm like, you freaking creepy, but I love it. You know what I'm saying? And same with her, man. Like, she's dope.
You know,
walk by and pinch on a little bit, grab on a little bit when I walk by.
it's good when you defend the title. It's hard when you got to learn a new skill to defend it. Because for me, living here, you can't trust everybody to give you a haircut. So I'm going to have to learn how to give.
Really?
I know I look rough, but this is not how I usually look. You know, this is how this is how I usually look when I'm around the right thing.
That's so funny.
So I have to learn a new skill to defend the title. So don't forget to defend the title, and you might have to learn a new skill along the way.
Absolutely. And so also, do you you got a bald head, right? Is that the normal?
Yeah.
So can you cut a bald head, or you don't know how to cut it yourself?
I don't know how to do that either.
Man, stop playing, bro. You spending money on a bald cut?
Look, right now I'm moving on up like George and Wheezy, if you know what I mean.
Oh, that's funny. Nah, you ain't got to take it off. Bro, you got to learn how to do a bald head, man. Yeah, that's nothing.
I get so much fear of getting those bumps. I hate that. I hate seeing people go through that.
You got to clean your clippers and make sure you get them sharpened too, man. YouTube is always a good reference, man. Yeah, YouTube is always a good reference. Like you said, you got to be the best version of yourself.
I'm just like, maybe.
You can do it, bro. If you cut your hair and you rub against the grain and you feel hair, like keep going over that spot. That's like I always have a hand mirror and a big mirror behind me, and I have the hand mirror and I turn my back to the big mirror and I just cut my hair or whatever. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a try, man. Just cause you motivated me. Do they have black barbers out there?
They have African barbers who are really great.
Yeah.
We do have some black barbers who are expats, people like from New Jersey and stuff like that, who teach as well as cut hair.
Yeah, you found one yet?
I have. So I'm going to see him.
But soon. COVID?
Yes.
Okay, got you. All right.
Yes, absolutely. I came up with something called operating at 100%. And what I mean by that is I took 5 categories and I divided them by 20% each. It's purpose, health, confidence, money, and knowledge. Purpose means you're living in your purpose every day, doing what you have to do to move forward in your life. Health is mean you're eating right, working out, meditating, praying, the things you need to do to have physical and mental health. Confidence, you're doing without any fear, any trepidation, any insecurities. Money is you made a little money, saved a little money, invested a little money. And knowledge, you took in some new information. So I ask you, Mr. Ron G, within the last 24 hours, how much of 100% have you been operating out of when it comes to purpose, health, confidence, money, and knowledge?
Literally all of those I have worked on today. Purpose, I'm in my jam every day. I'm pushing myself and creating content. Yeah. Confidence, I don't have the luxury of not being confident. Even when I don't feel like it, I got to learn how to fake it because of what I do. You can't be a comedian and be successful and you can be insecure, but not in front of people. You know what I'm saying? So even me working on new material is a level of vulnerability that the people don't know, but I will sell it like it's the best, funniest thing ever, even when I don't feel like it. Financially, because of COVID and everything shut down, I have to be mindful of my money. I've been investing, trying to work on multiple streams of income, and I literally work on that every single day. Got to call my accountant tomorrow about some stuff. What's the other one? Confidence,
knowledge, purpose, purpose, health, confidence, money, and knowledge.
So money and knowledge, definitely a daily thing that I'm learning, and I have to be mindful of my money because I'm not working, so I have to be aware of my spending and stuff like that. And then the last one is knowledge. Every day, man, really pushing myself to learn a craft, a skill, or fine tuning. Like I said, I got my first directing gig coming up where I'm learning how to direct. I have no experience in directing at all, but I want to make sure that my first project is amazing. So I'm learning about camera angles, camera lenses. I'm watching literally like really dope movies with like great cinematography and like learning the art of it. I just did the shot list with the DP the other day, and we were talking about shots, and he was like, what do you see for the vision of the show and how you want it shot? And we were talking about like, we love the coloring of Insecure, and the show's a little darker, but it's still comedy, and the angles, and I knew more than what I thought I did. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of cool when you don't know it until, like I mentioned earlier, you don't know who you really are until you put in environments where things are unfamiliar. You know what I'm saying? So that goes back to my first point about me getting in the deep end of the water with photography and with being a DP and a director. Like I was built for this, but I just didn't know the terminology. So it's like all these things are transferable. Like even you buying a camera, like you are already on camera but like getting cameras and learning how to do it while you're doing your craft,
Mhm.
it's another day. Like you don't have the luxury of not growing in your craft if you're already in it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, sir. You are now part of the Silhouette Boys Club. It is people like you who move in the shadows to help people like me shine. Now, before you go, we like to get referrals to the show. Any man you think would love to come on this show and drop these gems and answer these questions.
I actually do. I got a buddy named Tyree Vance, super dope guy, filmmaker, photographer. He has a lot of men's workshops for like young boys, young men or whatever. And he that dude, man. He's a super dope guy, and I would love for you to interview him. And I will send you his details as soon as we get off the phone.
All right, Mr. Tyree Vance, we want to hear from you. Also, do you have any social media shout outs, anything you want the people to know that you got going on today?
I'm glad you asked. Govern yourselves accordingly. Every Thursday, me and my wife do a really dope game show called Couples Couch. Every Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, on my Instagram live. Immediately after that, we do Q&A with Bay, where basically me and my wife talk about our first year of marriage, all the good, bad, and ugly, from being single to finding each other to like the nuances that we go through while we're married. Every Sunday, I do a virtual Chocolate Sundays comedy show. If you've never been to LA before, it's the longest running, most diverse, livest comedy show you ever been to in your life, but we do it via Zoom every single Sunday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We got 3 comics. We got First Impressions, which is like the newcomer comic, and then we have an after party. It's absolutely amazing. I'm not saying it because I'm the host. The vibe is dope. It's incredible. Every Tuesday we go on Clubhouse and do Chocolate Sundays, which is called the Comedy Clubhouse, on Clubhouse every Tuesday at 6 p.m. And last but not least, we just started doing Comedy Gurus, myself and my buddy Tehran, on Wednesday on Clubhouse. We actually give life advice. Whatever the question is, whatever the drama is, we got an answer for it. You might not like it, but we will make your life better. So Comedy Gurus every Wednesday on Clubhouse. Follow me, Comedian Ron G, on all social media, Comedian RONG. And also check out my YouTube page. I put a lot of long form relationship content and funny on my YouTube page. Also Comedian Ron G. Type in Comedian RONG. Everything's on there. And until then, don't block your blessing and govern yourselves accordingly.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Ron G. But before you go, I want to tell you a few things before I close out. First of all, I want to let you know that my son knows Marvin Gaye because of you, because every time I watch one of your videos.
Are you serious?
Now he walks around the house talking about what's going on. Yeah, he sings it all the time. Because you know, and sometimes as a parent, you forget that you're watching stuff and the kids can hear it. So he definitely he knows that part of the song and he sings it all the time. And I just wanted to give you a credit for that because you taught him some Marvin Gaye. And real quick before you go, let me show you this. I did find it. Bam.
Yo, that don't even look like you, bro. That's so funny. That's at the Comedy House. That's so funny. I remember that night too, because my frat came out as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy, bro. I ain't got no facial hair, and you got the freshman year face.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
So dope, man.
All right, hold on one second.
You got another picture?
No.
Okay, all right.
For those listening, you can reach me at SOULutions@gmail.com to be a guest on the show. Or you can catch me at Sheen1 on all platforms. Let's have this conversation on Instagram, Facebook, Clubhouse, or Twitter. It doesn't matter. Please come along. We want to hear all the conversations, and we thank you for joining us today. We end today with a quote from Dr. Miles Monroe. True success is not measured by how much you have done or accomplished. It's not compared to what others have done or accomplished. True success is what you have done compared to what you could have done. In other words, living to the maximum is competing with yourself. It's living up to your own true standards and capabilities. Success is satisfying your own personal passion and purpose in pursuit of personal excellence. So the question of the day, the question of your life, is are you maximizing your life? Ladies and gentlemen, this has been SOULutions. Mr. Ron G, we thank you.
Salute, man. What you know about Miles Monroe? That's that dude, man.